The emergency alert of the Russian invasion was the last thing I wanted to hear. We now had domestic marauders and a foreign invasion on American soil. I thought to myself, maybe this is all one shitty nightmare. Let me pinch myself. Nope, this is the real deal. SHTF, WROL, whatever you wanted to call it. The recovery mission to my mother-in-law's just became even more risky. What if the Russians started bombing my town? How was the American military going to respond? Surely some of their fleet was affected by the EMP. Darkness was quickly beginning to set in. We hadn't heard any more jets since the original group passed over. Maybe they were heading west towards Buffalo or Cleveland. I decided to go ahead with a 1.5-mile trek to my wife's mother's apartment. I could bike there, but that would be risky. I'd be spotted easier. The decision was made to hoof it. I grabbed my chest rig, loaded with 6 spare magazines, chambered in 5.56, my AR-15, the Beretta 90 series I picked off the Marauders, a walkie-talkie, and my get-home bag. If I got into trouble and was stuck, that bag had everything I needed to survive a minimum of 3 days. Eddie on night watch would position himself in my front yard behind some now overgrown bushes. My 8-year-old daughter did not want me to go. She was hysterical. I promised her Daddy would be back in a few hours. I had planned to return home by daylight. I told Jack, Eddie, and my wife I'd only radio them if I ran into trouble. I kissed my daughters and my wife goodbye for what I hoped wasn't the last time. I shook Jack and Eddie's hands, told them to stay safe, and keep my girls even safer. It was pushing 10 p.m. when I left my house. I had a good 7+ hours of darkness for cover. The shortest and quickest journey would be the main roads. It was about 400 yards from my driveway to the main road due south. This was my first time venturing out since day one, when I had the incident at the gas station. My heart was beating fast. I was extremely nervous. I had no idea what to expect or what I'd run into. I thought about going through backyards, but was worried someone protecting their home would shoot me. I had 4 cars broke down on my road. I'd use these for cover till I got off my street. I had one more thing against me too. It was a full moon. With no street lights, it's amazing how much light the moon projects off. I could smell wood fires as I maneuvered down the street. I also could see candles burning in the houses. These people had no awareness and no idea of OPSEC. As I got out onto the main road, there were cars and trucks littered everywhere. Wherever they were when the EMP hit is where they now stayed. I decided I'd use the cars and trucks to my advantage and weave in and out, using them as cover, staying as low to the ground as I could. 200 feet down the road, the smell hit me. It was the smell of death cooking in 90+ degree temperatures the past few days. I grabbed a bandana from my bag, tied it off to cover my nose and mouth. As I approached the vehicle, all I could see were hordes of flies. I was doing everything I could not to vomit from the smell. It was an older lady, deceased inside. She was covered in flies and maggots. I glanced quickly, but saw no blood or visible wounds. Perhaps she had a pacemaker that gave out at the exact moment of the EMP strike. Further down, I could see and smell what I assumed was a house fire. With no fire department, it was left to spread to adjoining houses. One mistake with a candle could now take out a row of houses. Could also have been marauders burning people out of their homes. That was now my biggest worry for my own house. The 2 fire extinguishers would be no match for a burning, raging inferno. As I carefully approached the burning home, I could see the siding on the neighboring houses beginning to melt from the heat. The house to the right was still occupied, and the people were starting to exit it. At that moment, my biggest fear became reality. Gunshots rang out as the people who lived there made their way outside. Some sick bastard was burning them out and then taking them out. I took cover behind the closest broken down vehicle. The shots continued to ring out. I could see a fire in the road about 75 yards down due west, and what looked like downed trees and telephone poles blocking the road. I saw the glow coming off the barrel of a gun positioned behind the trees and poles. I didn't want them to hear chatter on my walkie or risk them hearing me radio Eddie and Jack. I quickly shut it off completely. I had no idea how many of them there were. I could see 6 to 7 bodies on the ground in front of me at the house they were getting burned out of. The gunshot stopped, and I heard a voice say, "Burn the next one down." They were throwing Molotov cocktails at houses and burning people out. The voice sounded eerily familiar, and then it hit me. It was the same voice from the gas station. The junkie who held me at gunpoint to rob me. What had I done? I let that piece of shit live on day one, and now he had killed at least a family of 6. On day 5, I wouldn't make the same mistake. The objective of the mission just changed. Every decision you make in a time like this has consequences, one way or another. The adrenaline was taking over. Stupidly, I didn't give a thought to how many people he was with. My one goal was to kill him. As his partner stepped close to the next house to start it on fire, I was concealed behind a car now 50 yards from them. I opened fire, quickly dispersing him. The Molotov cocktail fell to the driveway, breaking and starting on fire. One down. Not sure how many left to go. Return fire came immediately in my direction. There was now a shootout in the middle of a suburban street. But I had the advantage. They were partially blinded from the fire smoke in front of them. I emptied a non-compliant New York State 30-round magazine in their direction and decided to try and flank them by maneuvering northwest behind a row of houses and coming out behind them. He was still shooting down towards the car I had been taking cover at. He was the only one I could see. It was one-on-one now, and he had no idea I was closing in behind him. I heard him mumble he was out of ammo. I decided to pounce. With his back still turned towards me, and me coming from behind a house to his left, I fired 2 shots at his lower body. He fell over still alive. I carefully approached and asked him if he remembered me. He didn't. Probably because he was high as shit that first night at the gas station. I told him I was the guy who tried robbing at Sunoco for $200 the moment the world went to shit. I told him for everything he's done, he deserves a bullet between the eyes. But I wasn't wasting another round on him. I pulled out my United States Marine Corps K-bar and just about decapitated his sorry ass.